With most of our eyes trained on a pandemic, protests for racial justice, and a presidential campaign, you might be missing out on one of the most interesting stories of the year.
Montana Governor Steve Bullock officially announces his entry in the U.S. Senate race.
In Iowa, how about this? Joni Ernst, the Republican running for her second term, trailing in the Des Moines Register poll.
Right now, Amy McGrath has a big advantage over her competitors. McGrath has $19.3 million of cash on hand.
There's drama in just enough states to maybe flip the Senate from red to blue. In 2020, Republicans always had more senators up for re-election than Democrats, but the odds to keep the Senate seem to be in their favor, at least for a while. But things may have shifted. To get into why, I hit up
James Arkin, Senate campaigns reporter.
The other day on a phone call, a work call, you were talking and kind of giving a rundown of what you're working on. And one of the things that you said kind of struck me. And it was that there's almost no good news for the GOP in the Senate landscape at this point. Kind of explain what you meant by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can, look at it from the sort of long term of the fight for the Senate. I mean, Republicans came into the cycle with more seats that they had to defend, but the vast majority of those seats are in states Donald Trump won in 2016. They're red-leaning or even deep red seats. They have a 53-47 majority. And so things started out with Republicans sort of being, I don't know about heavy favorites, but certainly being favorites to keep their Senate majority. Now, Democrats have, for the most part, gotten the nominees that they wanted. They've raised, a ridiculous amount of money in some of these races. In a lot of cases, Democratic challengers are outraising Republican incumbents. They've put more seats in play than they were expected to. And then you look at the top of the ticket and President Trump's approval rating falling, polling in battleground states that have Senate races. President Trump is either tied or trailing Joe Biden in a lot of these cases. Democrats have a lot of momentum.
What are those states where it kind of feels like anyone can win, where Democrats are starting to see some exciting things for themselves?
Yeah, I sort of plot it in a couple of different sections. So you have the pure toss-up races. I call them the big four, I guess. You have Arizona, North Carolina, Maine, and Colorado. Those are all states with Republican incumbents. In Arizona, Mark Kelly is leading Martha McSally, the Republican, in almost every single poll, and is raising just an insane amount of money. In Colorado, John Hickenlooper, the former governor, is likely to become the nominee. There's still a primary at the end of June in that race, but public polling has shown him ahead of Cory Gardner. And then you have Maine and Susan Collins. She has won every previous race easily, no trouble at all. She hasn't really struggled against a Democratic challenger in her career. And public polling is showing that race right there, 50-50. Sarah Gideon, the likely Democrat, against her. Same thing in North Carolina. Tight 50-50 race. North Carolina is one that's just expected to be down the wire, close the whole way. And so for Democrats, that's it. I mean, if they were able to go 4 for 4 in those races, they would flip the Senate. Now, obviously, going 4 for 4 in those races is really, really, really hard. But they feel good about where they are in all of those. Republicans acknowledge all of those are tough races. And then you throw in Iowa with Teresa Greenfield, the Democrat, against Joni Ernst. A recent poll just showed her winning, Greenfield, that is, ahead right now. Throw in Montana with Steve Bullock, the governor, running against Steve Daines, the Republican senator. Some Republicans remain worried about Kansas and the potential for a nominee there that could put that seat in play. It's just a wider playing field. And the only really good opportunity for Republicans right now is Alabama, where Doug Jones is obviously the most vulnerable Senate on the map. A lot of people think that race is already over. It's going to be expensive. I expect it to be, hard fought.
Do you have any inclination that they're going to be allowed to distance themselves at all from President Trump? We know that he's someone who values loyalty and he's quick to tweet at you. Jeff Sessions, who's in Alabama right now, was the victim of that his entire time as Attorney General.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Sessions is a good example of what happens to you when the president decides that he does not support you. And he's getting tweeted at by the president every couple of weeks now, and it's making his comeback bid. Just not the way he would have preferred to run that race, let's say. It's a really difficult sort of high wire balancing act of, no, they're not going to break with Donald Trump. They're not going to criticize him over big issues. There's not going to be some sort of large scale split. I think a lot of people keep waiting for that to happen. And it's just, these Republican candidates, these Republican senators, they're not going to do it. They support most of his policies. They are running alongside him. Electorally, they need Trump voters in all of these states. And so I don't expect any of these Republican senators to break with President Trump or start vocally criticizing him. What I do think they're going to do is try and hone in on some local issues, some things that they can do back in their state and sort of demonstrate sort of good governance, independence. That's the sweet spot that Republican senators are going to want to run on is, forget national politics, forget the top of the ticket. Here's what I've done to benefit the state. Now, that's a really hard argument to make. I mean, I think that, we'll see the degree to which they can have success reframing the conversation in an environment where everyone is so focused on the top of the ticket and President Trump and Joe Biden.